Hey, what's up, everyone? Ready to do another live stream here for Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to hanging out with you on the YouTube, answering all your voiceover business and marketing questions, seeing what you guys are thinking about, talking about, curious about on this Friday afternoon. It is vacation season. Some of you may have seen the post that I put up a little bit ago in Facebook or on Facebook about the current experience that I am having trying to book a vacation rental. That experience is not going well. I don't want to get into that. But what I do want to get into is vacation season is quickly approaching. And so I thought maybe we'd start off the show with a couple of tips for getting yourself ready for vacation, getting your business ready for vacation, while we're waiting for some people to jump into the live stream and waiting for some questions to pop into the chat. So first and foremost, if you've got summer vacation planned, I do not think that it is too early to let your clients know. Giving them plenty of advanced warning is almost a guaranteed way to book voiceover. I think if you talk to any veteran voice actor who's been doing this for a while, they'll tell you one of the best marketing tactics that you have, one of the best booking tactics that you have as a voice actor is going away on vacation. So sending an email out to your clients to let them know that you're going to be away, I think is a really smart idea. I would say, though, that when you are writing that email, part of it is in how you write the email. So letting your clients know that you're going to be out of the office and telling them about the amazing place that you're going and the amazing vacation that you're going to have might not be the right approach here, particularly if, they're not going on vacation or they're not doing anything super exciting. But sending an email to just let them know that you're going to be out of the studio and that you don't want that time out of the studio to have a negative impact on them or their projects or their deadlines. So I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be gone. I don't want that to cost you a deadline, so I am happy to accommodate any requests that you have before I go or put you on my schedule for as soon as I return and let them know the dates that you are going to be away for. I think that's a smart email to send, and I think that that's an email that you could send at least a month out. So if you've got vacation coming up, that's something that I would put on the calendar. I think that is an email that could be sent to your clients. And I think that is also an email that could be sent independently to your prospects and maybe worded slightly differently, because obviously with clients, you've worked with them in the past. With prospects, you haven't had the opportunity to work with them yet, but you still that opportunity may come. So it's still worth letting them know. So that's two separate emails that would be worded slightly differently. I think you can send the first one, like I mentioned, at least a month out, maybe up to 6 weeks in advance. And then I would say a secondary reminder to some of your key clients, maybe about 2 weeks out, also not a bad idea. So those are emails that you could certainly be thinking about and getting scheduled and ready to go. I don't think that it's necessary to send an email for every single time. Like if you're going to be out of the office for a day or whatever, maybe even 2 days or even a weekend, I don't think that, I'm not going to send an email for every one of those. But if I'm going to be gone for an extended period of time, I'm certainly going to mention that. And, July 4th holiday is coming up, or Canada Day, July 1st holiday if you're in Canada. If you're taking an extended long weekend or something like that, maybe there's an opportunity there as well. But it's definitely an email that is worth sending. I would also make it clear in that email whether or not you are going to be taking gear with you, which that is a whole entire subject unto itself. I think I actually did an entire podcast episode on that once. Let me just say two things. First and foremost, if you are going on vacation and you want to take gear with you, it is absolutely okay to go on vacation and take gear with you, and you should not feel guilty for that, and you should not have to apologize to anyone for that. On the flip side, if you are going on vacation and you just want to go on vacation, it is perfectly okay for you to not take gear with you, and you do not have to justify that to anyone or defend that to anyone. This is one of the things that always frustrates me when people talk about, going on vacation and they ask questions about travel gear, and people in the comments are like, what if you just took a vacation to take it a vacation? What if I don't want to? What if I want to bring my gear with me? Like, it shouldn't have to be something that you have to justify. I think there's value in both. I have done vacations where I've taken gear and I have booked enough work to pay for the trip. And that has massive value to me. I have also taken vacations where I didn't think about voiceover for 1 second for an entire week, and that has massive value to me. So ultimately, you have to make the decision for what is right for you, but you should not have to justify that decision to anyone. So hopefully, you are looking forward to some time off over the course of the summer, and you've got some cool stuff planned. Where are you going? Punch it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. But just a couple of tips anyway to take with you. Also, an autoresponder is a smart idea. I think an autoresponder is a smart idea. So once you are on vacation, if you're going to be gone for that extended period of time, make sure that you activate that autoresponder. All right, let's see. If you do have a question for Free Advice Friday, I mean, look, that's the whole point of being here. If you've got a question that you would like to ask, I'm certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can for the next little while here. So feel free to type that question into the comments and it'll pop up on my screen. If you could put a Q beside it, that just makes it a little bit easier for me to find as things get going in the chat. But certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can. So I am driving myself nuts trying to get my website on mobile looking as good as desktop. Am I overstressing? Is it holding me back from outreach for fear of how it'll look? I definitely think that you need to have a mobile-friendly website. So you want your website to be easily accessible, I guess is the word. I want to be able to scroll through it. I need to be able to read the text. I don't want colors to make it difficult. I need to be able to easily navigate it. And I need to be able to get the information that I need. I want to be able to click your demos and play them. I want to be able to send you an email. I want to be able to contact you. So I think that's the important stuff. Are you going to make your mobile website look as beautiful and pristine as your desktop website? Probably not. That's just the nature of mobile. I'm more interested in, is it responsive? So it's going to look one way on desktop. It's going to look another way on a tablet. It's going to look another way on a mobile phone, right? So it automatically adjusts or responds to the device that you are on. So is it a responsive website? I think that's really important. And how mobile friendly is it for somebody who is using it on their cell phone? And I think those things also can impact your SEO as well. So, surfing through your website on your phone and just making sure, is this easy to navigate? And can I do the things that I need to do? Ask a couple of colleagues to take a look at it, or, ask a couple of family members or something, a couple of friends, just take a look at it, see what they think. But can I navigate through it? Can I play your demos? Can I contact you? These are the most important things that I need when I'm on a mobile, because chances are, if I'm doing it from a mobile device, I'm only looking for something very specific anyway. Right? If I'm actively wanting to surf your website, I'm probably going to do that on a desktop. So I would not stress too much over this specific design as much as I would be more, I'd be more concerned with the functionality. Now, maybe that's just me, but that's what I would be putting my time, effort, and attention to. I definitely booked enough work at VOA to pay for the trip. That's a win-win. There you go, because now not only did you book enough work to pay for the trip, but you also get to write that trip off as a business expense, which makes it even better. So you're scoring, you're saving money all the way around, which is absolutely perfect. Drew says, so what happens when you tell the client you're going to step away for a while, studio remodel, and they say that's fine, then they ghost you when you're back? I don't overthink this stuff too much, because maybe they just don't need you right now. I mean, is it possible that you said you were stepping away for a minute to do a studio remodel and they went out and just completely replaced you and now they're never going to talk to you again? I mean, I suppose, but if they're like that, is that really the client you want to work with anyway? At the same time, it could just as easily be that they just don't need anything right now, right? Clients, one thing that I have learned over 20 years of doing this, clients and prospects are not going to respond to every email. In fact, clients and prospects are probably not going to respond to the vast majority of the emails that you send unless they need you. Now, are you going to get to a point where you've got a few clients that you have a really good relationship with, maybe a slightly more personal relationship with, and maybe every once in a while they're going to respond to something you send out? Oh, maybe. I've got a couple of those. But for the most part, my clients are not responding to every email that I'm sending. They're probably just making a note of whatever it was that I wrote and when they need me, they'll need me and they'll reach out to me at such a time as they need me. So I wouldn't sweat it too much at this point. If they're still accepting your emails, then in my mind, if they're still accepting your emails, they're still interested on some level. And if you get to a point where they're no longer accepting your emails and they ask for the unsubscribe, then you know what? They weren't going to hire you anymore anyway. So at that point, I wouldn't sweat it either. Find a new client. That's always what our goal is, right? I mean, that's the thing for me. I always want to be putting new leads into the pipeline because the reality of business is clients come and go. It sucks, especially when you lose a good one, but clients do come and go. Samples versus entire demos. What genres would you say that just having samples for is enough instead of needing a full produced demo for? And would it be suitable to use booked work for samples? I still think that there is absolute value in the demo on the whole. And I do think that there are still people who will listen to the demo on the whole, because the idea of the demo on the whole is that it's meant to be a full showcase. It's supposed to be able to show all the different styles, ranges, directions, whatever that you're capable of. Why we like it in clips now is because we have no attention span anymore. So there are a certain percentage of people who will listen to the demo on the whole, of course, as I mentioned, but there are a lot of people who are coming to your website and they're thinking, I need insert the read. I need the guy next door. So if you have a clip on your website that is labeled guy next door, now, instead of having to take a couple of minutes to listen all the way through all of your demos, they can go straight to the guy next door clip and be like, yep, that's exactly what I was thinking about. And now you solved a problem for them. You solved two problems. One, you saved them time because they didn't have to go searching for it. And two, you're able to do what they need. And so now they're ready to hire for you. So I definitely think that there is value on both sides of that, because I think the demo on the whole still represents you on the whole and what you are fully capable of. I just think that showcasing it in clip fashion has value. Do I think that you can use produced work? Sure. I think you can use produced work. I think there are a couple of things you need to take into consideration with that, though. One, I would say, what is the quality of the production? Does the quality of the production stand up to the quality of a professionally produced demo? If you submitted that commercial to Sovis, would it have a shot at getting nominated? And I do think that there are different levels of production, and that is something to be aware of. So that would be the first thing I would be thinking about is, does this stand up? The second thing I would be thinking about, going back to what we were talking about with the demo on the whole, what is the point of the demo on the whole? It has to be able to showcase on the whole what you are capable of doing. So if you're going to use projects that you've worked on in the past, do you have projects that show a wide range of what you are capable of? Do those projects show your different types of reads, the different directions, maybe the different tones of voice that you do? Do you have something that can showcase all of those things? I think that's really important. Could you do a hybrid? Possibly. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about the voice sampler. I can go in on any day of the week and add something to the voice sampler, and it just drops in there as an additional spot on my demo, and there's value in that. When you do a great read that you're really proud of, or you get a spot back that you're really excited about, or a project that was for a big name brand or something like that that you want to be able to have out there and showcase. So yeah, I do think there is value in using some of your produced work. I would be cautious of using it exclusively, though, if you can't provide the same range that a fully produced demo can provide. What happens when you tell the client you've got a studio remodel and they say fine, but then, oh, I just answered that question, so we don't need to answer that question again. All right, let's see. Where else are we going? I got too many things going on here, and I totally missed that I had already answered that one. All right, let's see. Joseph says, do you have recommendations on how to reduce noise from a window, lawnmowers, planes, etc.? Ooh, that's a tough one. It might be possible, and I would want to talk to somebody more technically astute than me, an Uncle Roy, for example. It might be possible to capture a noise print of some of those things. Adobe Audition gives you the ability to capture noise prints. So it might be possible to capture a noise print to try to isolate some of that out, but that could definitely be tough. I mean, I would certainly try to record around the lawnmower. I'm guessing that's not running 24/7. Airplanes, a little bit more unpredictable, maybe, depending on where you live. Like if you live in a flight path, there's only so much that you can do for that. Some heavy blankets over the window might be helpful, or stuffing some insulation or something like that. It might be helpful. But yeah, I would definitely want to consult with somebody who is a little bit more technically astute than I am. So, connect with somebody like an Uncle Roy, reach out to him on Facebook or something like that. And he might have some more advice, some better advice on that side of things. When it comes to things like headshots, is a clean selfie better or worse than having no picture if you can't get a professional portrait done yet? I think you can get away with a selfie if it is done right. So, one of these selfies where you're just like, holding up, like, no. But put the phone on a tripod and, set a timer for it and frame yourself and have good lighting and all of that sort of stuff. Can you get away with something like that? I mean, I think you can. And I do think there is value in having a headshot. And I know this is one that gets argued because I think there are valid arguments for both ways. If you are a 55-year-old female who sounds like an 8-year-old, and by the way, I know people who are like this, when you post your picture, people are going to think one thing about you without even having heard you. As much as we aren't supposed to judge books by covers, we do. And so there are certain people who are very nervous about posting pictures because the voice and the picture may not match up, and they don't want people to have a preconceived notion or to prejudge what the voice may sound like when they see the picture. At the same time, we like working with people. We like working with humans. We like being able to make those connections. And there's something to be said for being able to see that smiling face, right? There is value in that, I think. Knowing that you are connected with a real human being. And hey, I mean, in the times of AI, knowing that you're connected with a real human being, I think there's, even more value to be stated for that right now. So yeah, I do think that you could get away with the selfie if you do it right. Make sure you've got good lighting. Make sure you've got a clean background. Who's going to know at that point? And, professional headshots might be something that you aspire to later on down the road. We all got to start somewhere, right? And I recognize that. I mean, most of us are not coming into this, fully and completely independently wealthy. And, so we don't have 30 grand to spend on every single thing right up front. So we got to make some investment choices as we're getting started. Am I prioritizing coaching over headshots? Yes. Demos over headshots? Yes. Websites over headshots? Yes. Are there ways that you can work around that? Yes. I didn't get professional headshots done for the first time until a couple of years ago. Now, granted, the headshots that I was working with were completely awful, and people kept telling me they were completely awful, which is why I ultimately went out and got professional headshots. But nowadays, with the technology that exists, a ring light, a tripod, and an iPhone, I mean, you practically take a professional picture anyway, minus the posing. But even then, go to a photographer's website, look at what they're doing, look at some of the poses that you see, or maybe there's other people's headshots that you've seen that you like, and you can try to attempt to replicate that, again, until such a time as you get to where you need to be, where you can do it. All right. What else do you guys want to talk about on Free Advice Friday? Did you catch the latest episode of the podcast? We're into the summer series now. So the whole idea of the summer series here, quick hit episodes designed to, quite frankly, give me a little bit of a break, honestly. But what I wanted to do was just short, quick hit episodes that I add high value. So I'm bringing voice actors onto the show to ask questions. You get to ask one question and get your answer. And the odds are, if you are thinking about something, there is a percentage of other voice actors who are thinking about it as well. So first episode of the summer series dropped yesterday. Alexander Devrient came on the show, and he had a question about AI. And he wanted to talk about what can voice actors do to stay ahead of AI in 2025. And so that is what we dove into. So That's the first episode. That is available here on the YouTube channel. It is also available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So make sure you go check that one out. By the way, speaking of the YouTube channel, hit the like button if you're enjoying the live stream. Hit the subscribe button so you'll always get notified when I'm doing these live streams, but also when new episodes of the podcast go up as well. I just have such an awkward smile no matter what I do. Britt, can I just tell you something? On the list of things that I enjoy doing, having my picture taken is somewhere around number 7,826,321. Like, that is how far down the list getting my picture taken is for me. So I just want you to know that I completely relate. I feel like no matter what I do, I never take a good picture. I always have a goofy look on my face, or the angle's always wrong. It's like if I sit, if I'm this way and you get it right, it's like, okay, that doesn't look too bad. But then if I go this way, it's like, oh my gosh, look at all the gray in his beard. Like, seriously. So I feel your anxiety. I feel what you're talking about there. Totally understandable. Totally relatable. The thing for me was, and this is where getting a professional done, I will say, having that professional photographer, as completely awkward and uncomfortable as that was literally like 60 of the most painful minutes of my entire life. The photographer was incredible. So patient, so kind. Honestly, I was waiting. Like, it's a wonder she didn't drop kick me right out of her studio, because I was not an easy person. And not because I was being rude or difficult, but just because I was so uncomfortable with the process that it made it very challenging for her, I'm sure. She probably had to go and have a good stiff drink after that session was done. But that is where having the professional makes a big difference. Somehow, when you get the right photographer, they find a way to get things out of you. I mean, you could say the same thing with the right director, right? It's the same way how the right director can get a read out of you that you didn't even know that you had in you. Well, I think the right photographer can get the right picture out of you that you didn't even know that you had in you. Are there any tools that you use to decipher the hieroglyphics that the usage terms have become in some of these recent auditions? No. Because some of it has gotten very confusing. I mean, there might be an instance where I would drop one of those into a ChatGPT or a Claude or something like that just to see if it could help. But yeah, sometimes it gets really confusing. This is actually one of the things that David Toback and I talked about on the podcast a few weeks ago, particularly surrounding digital usage. There are 50,000 different acronyms that come into play now in digital usage, and it doesn't take long for digital usage to get very confusing, which is one of the reasons why the GVAA recently did a webinar to walk through some changes that they were making to the rate guide and helping people to kind of navigate and understand the world of digital usage a little bit. But that is definitely, there are definitely some challenges there. I'm not doing online casting, so I'm not seeing some of this stuff on online casting. So thankfully, I don't have to deal with some of that, because either I'm seeing stuff from agents or clients that I'm working with directly. And, generally I've got a pretty clear understanding of what they're looking for. And more often than not, they're just looking for one thing. But yeah, it is becoming an ever increasingly more complex world to navigate, the world of rates and usage and all of that fun stuff. If you go on the YouTube channel, let's look it up here. If I pull this up, if you go over to YouTube, where are we? Somewhere in here, videos. Where was it? A couple weeks ago. Here we go. This is a good episode to check out. This episode with David Toback. Let me copy this. Share. Copy. I'll put this in the chat. He definitely gave some helpful insights, though, on the world of digital usage, which is becoming, like I said, increasingly more confusing. Pictures. This is why we got into voiceovers, yeah? So here's a true story. I've told this story before, but maybe you haven't heard it. And if you have heard it, just bear with me and smile. I was working in radio. This is going back 1997, 1998, I think it was 1998. I was working in radio, working at my first radio job. And I had a buddy who was working in television at the time, and he invited me to come into the studio with him one night to see the whole process of putting together this TV show that he was working on. So I go into the studio and was watching him, thought it was really fascinating what he was doing, thought it was, we were having a good time. And the next morning he had a meeting with his boss, who was the executive producer of the company. And so I had this meeting went and sat in on the meeting, met his boss, great guy, had a fun conversation with him. And I was pitching him an idea for a show. And he legitimately said to me, he loved the idea for the show and said he wanted to do it. He said, but you'll host it on Voiceover, right? Because you kind of have a face for radio. Oh, that one always stuck with me. So yes, I do understand. And yes, by the way, I did host it via Voiceover. That and several shows afterwards were all hosted via Voiceover. If you could only pick one site for someone to market themselves on that isn't a personal site, what one would you suggest and why? Are we talking social media? Because if we're talking social media, if you told me that I was only allowed to pick one platform, I would say LinkedIn. And I would say the reason why I would choose LinkedIn over all of the platforms is, by and large, LinkedIn is still a professional network filled with professionals who are looking to get connected to other professionals for professional purposes. That does not mean that there's not value in the other platforms, because I think there are. And I could give you examples of voice actors who have made other platforms work, and who make them work very, very well. But, the question you asked was me, what platform would I choose? So in that case, I would choose LinkedIn. I just think the ability to search for specific job titles, looking for people in specific industries, having the ability to send that connection request. You go to some of the other social media channels and you follow people, but when you follow them, that doesn't mean that they follow you. When you go to LinkedIn and you get connected with someone, now you guys are in each other's networks. You can communicate with each other in each other's network. So I think LinkedIn provides massive value in its ability to help you to find the exact people that you would be looking for, to be able to connect with them directly and be able to message them. So yeah, that would be the one that I pick. Briscoe is leaving early again. That's 2 weeks in a row, Briscoe. If you're not going to stick around for the whole thing, I'm going to stop answering your questions, just so you know. No, I'm just kidding. I made my first real VO connections via LinkedIn, so it is definitely helpful. And that's it. I think more and more LinkedIn is becoming much more of a social media platform. It's becoming a content creator platform. And I think that there are parts of that are good, and there are parts of that concern me. If the content stays professional and valuable, I think that's one thing. If LinkedIn turns into Facebook, it will be one of the greatest tragedies of social media, I think. And every once in a while, I see people posting there, and I literally just want to comment, this would be great, ... on Facebook. Now, I don't, because I'm not that guy. I think it, but I don't say it out loud. But I do worry that if LinkedIn ever falls right down that rabbit hole. But I think that's also why they're working very hard on their algorithm to make sure that the right kind of content is getting amplified. And I think that's one of the reasons why knowledge-based content is something that is really a priority for LinkedIn right now. Knowledge-based content is something that the algorithm is looking for and amplifying. And I think that there's professional, real value in that sort of content versus like, don't give me your political rants. Please don't give me your political rants on LinkedIn. Go give me your political rants on Facebook. Give them to me on TikTok. Give them to me on X. Like whatever. Any other platform. Please don't give me your political rants on LinkedIn. Let's keep LinkedIn a professional network. Please. Please, let's keep LinkedIn a professional network. Oh my goodness. All right. What else you guys want to talk about? Let me tell you about this. 10 marketing habits of the top VOs. If you want to find the success that other voice actors are achieving, one of the things that you can do is try to replicate the things that they are doing to achieve that level of success. And I have had the good fortune of working with a lot of really talented voice actors, really smart voice actors, really great marketing voice actors. And I took a bunch of the lessons that I learned from them and condensed that down into this free PDF that I'm giving away that is the top 10 marketing habits of top booking VO pros. And that is available for free download at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. I will put that link in the chat. There you go. That link is in the chat. If you would like to check that out, go and grab that guide. Very handy, helpful resource for you, I think. Anyway, a very handy, helpful resource for you. Some practical tips of things that you can be doing to help improve some of your marketing efforts while you're getting your business going. And even for the seasoned voice actor who's been doing this for a while, but maybe you've got a little bit comfortable, maybe you've got a little bit complacent. These things happen. Sometimes it's good to have a reminder of the things that we should be focusing on. So what else is up? What other questions can I answer for you guys? That's what I'm here for. I am here to answer your questions on Free Advice Friday. So if you do have a question that you would like to ask and get answered, feel free to type that question into the comments. If you put a Q beside it, it makes it a little bit easier for me to see in the chat amidst everything else that is going on. But I'm certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can for the next little bit here. So don't be shy. Ask away. It's a great opportunity. It's $175 to do a 1-hour coaching session with me, or you can just come hang out on Free Advice Friday and get one for free. I'm not so great at the economic stuff, obviously. Keep giving it away for free. I love helping you guys, though. So tell me what I can answer for you, and don't be shy. I will tell you that I will not be here for Free Advice Friday next week. My dad is coming in. Actually, he flies in a little bit later this afternoon from Nova Scotia, and I'm going to be spending a week with him, so I will not be available for Free Advice Friday next week. So just a heads up on that one. Where's the line on LinkedIn between letting people know what you can offer without becoming an annoying ad? Oh, I love this question so much because to me, it tells me that you're trying to be really aware of what you're posting. And I appreciate that because a lot of people will literally just go and write what could be an ad. I am very much from the vein of problem solution. I think that's a really good approach to take, problem solution. So rather than writing a post, let's work through this. Rather than writing a post that says, have you got a new course that you're working on for your sales reps, a new training course you're working on for your sales reps, and you want to have a really great voiceover, reach out to me at marcscottvoiceover.com. And listen to my demos, right? Something like that. That's the normal type of post that people would write. I would want to write something that says, before you send your sales reps out on the road, they need to know what they're selling. If you're putting together a sales training course for your new product or service, you want to make sure that that course is going to keep your sales reps interested and engaged. And that's where a professional voiceover can make all the difference. If you want to talk about adding that narration to your next project, reach out at marcscottvoiceover.com, right? So, and I'm just on the whim here. That's probably not exactly how I would write it, but you see the difference, right? You see the difference. One is just a straight up, here's what I do, hire me to do it. One is here's a consideration that you might want to think about. Here's a potential problem that you might be encountering and how I can solve it for you. And so I think that is one way that I would approach it. I think the other way, and this is one of the reasons why I like the idea of breaking demos down. Going back to something that we talked about earlier, Briscoe asked the question about demos versus samples. One of the reasons why I like the ideas of breaking demos down into samples is because each one of those demos represents something different. So one of those is your professional authoritative read. One of them is your guy next door read. One of them is your friendly conversational read. One of them is your Sam Elliott read, whatever. You understand what I'm saying. Each one of those clips is something different. And so each one of those clips presents a unique opportunity. So when I'm sharing one of those clips, when I'm sharing my demo on the whole, I can talk about my demo on the whole. But when I'm sharing one of those clips, I can talk about that specific thing. Everybody's looking for a genuine, authentic, and conversational voice for their commercials in 2025. And I want you to know that that's something that I can offer. And then you give them that conversational or that authentic conversational clip, not the whole demo, just the clip. So you can write copy. When I say copy, it makes it sound like an ad. You can write a post that speaks specifically to the use case for that particular voiceover. Does that make sense? And so those are a couple of the things that I would be looking at when I'm trying to put that content out on social media without coming across as too pushy and salesy. I keep hearing if you have to ask if it's time for a demo, you're not ready. But so many jobs want a demo, or it said you must have a demo on your site. So how do you get there? You're going to have a demo of some form or fashion. I genuinely do believe that. I need some sort of social proof that you can do the thing that you say that you can do. If, I don't know, if you got a classic car in the garage that you want to get painted, and some random guy walks up and says, "Hey, I know you got a classic car in the garage you want painted. I'd love to paint it for you." The very first thing you're going to want to do is say, "Well, what else have you done?" And if he's never done anything, what are the odds that you're going to let him paint your car? We need social proof. We need some sort of evidence that says that you can actually do the thing that you say that you can do. And the demo is the social proof for the voice actor. That is the social proof that says, I can actually do this. So I do think that the demo is really important. I think you need to have that before you can actively market yourself, because people need to be able to hear what you are capable of. I do think that you need to coach before you do your demo. That obviously makes the process more expensive. You know, there's a greater investment that needs to be made there, but you also don't want to be in a position where you get a demo too soon, because then you've just spent money on a demo that isn't really that great, or maybe isn't the best representation of what you're actually capable of. And now you're not going to be able to make the money back. So I do think that coaching is the first step. Finding a reputable coach can be a challenge. There are a lot of people who are out there who are coaching. Anybody can plant their flag as a coach today on the internet. And that makes it tough to try to navigate who's legit and who is not. So if you were, I'm assuming you're getting started. It sounds like you're getting started. And Britt, correct me if I'm wrong here. It sounds like you're getting started and you're trying to figure out some next steps. So I'm a big fan of Gravy for the Brain. I think that Gravy for the Brain is a really great place for people who are trying to figure some of this stuff out, because they've got a little bit of everything. When you go to the Gravy for the Brain website, you're going to be able to watch a ton, like just a ton. Think of it like Netflix for voice actors. So much content on that site, all geared towards helping you to navigate some of the things that you're trying to navigate right now. But the other thing that I really like about Gravy for the Brain is they're working with legit people. And so if you find a coach on Gravy for the Brain because they're teaching a class or teaching a webinar on Gravy for the Brain, it's pretty safe to bet that that is a legitimate person. And so that is solving two problems for you. First and foremost, it's getting you access to the training. Secondly, it's helping you to navigate who can I trust. And it is a very low dollar value investment, comparatively speaking. So Maybe you're not ready to sign up with a coach yet because you're not even 100% sure what you want to do or where you're going to fit in voiceover. So you sign up for Gravy for the Brain for a month or two. I just put a link in the chat. Sign up for Gravy for the Brain for a month or two, consume a whole bunch of the content. And as you're watching all of that content, you start to think, man, I would really like to do this, or I think I might be a really good fit for this. And so now you've started to narrow down. And once you've started to narrow down a little bit, then you're able to think, okay, well, I think this coach would be a really great fit. Or, I saw this coach did a webinar on Gravy for the Brain, and I'd like to be able to have a conversation with them or whatever. And so I think it can help you navigate through some of that process. As a corporate trainer, I've been in too many roles where, we'll have a supervisor, manager, designer recorded. It's super common, and quality engagement is not there. I really wish more corps would hire. And that's it, right? It's really easy to go and get Bob from accounting. I think at some point, if almost everybody has sat through some sort of e-learning training video that just made you want to smash your face off the wall. I'm pretty sure we've all been there at some point because it's really bad. And I don't understand why people are willing to put out really bad content. Lots of times they say it's, quote, good enough or whatever. Sometimes it's just that they don't know. They don't know that they could hire a professional for it. And so that's where we get to come in and make that pitch. But in order to come in and make that pitch, it's going to be a lot easier to do that if you have your demos. So we went in we just covered a lot of area there, Britt. And if there's anything that you want a little bit more clarity on or anything that I can explain a little bit better for you or answer your question in a better way, let me know. But there's a lot to unpack when you're trying to figure some of this stuff out. It's a great big sea to navigate. And to be clear, Gravy for the Brain, that's the one that I often talk about. The GVAA, Global Voice Acting Academy, similar idea to Gravy for the Brain, totally legitimate. Ann Ganguza does VO Peeps, similar idea to Gravy and GVAA. And one of my favorite people in the industry, VO Peeps, is totally legit. So there are a couple of different places like that where you can go and for a relatively low dollar investment, you can invest in some good quality training, which can help answer some of those early questions before you get to the point where you want to go and hire a coach. Because one thing you don't want to do is go spend $200 an hour on a coach. And a lot of them, the reputable ones, are going to cost you, $200. Some of them are going to cost you more, $300, $350. Let's just call it $200. You don't want to go and spend $200 for an hour of time with a coach to get a bunch of questions answered that you could have got answered by signing up to a website for $50, right? If you're going to spend that $200 on that coach, you want to be ready for that session. You want to be able to go in there and be ready. You want them to teach you how to be a voice actor by teaching you performance, working on your techniques and all that sort of stuff, not necessarily answering some of the entry-level questions. And so I think that those types of sites, VO Peeps, Gravy for the Brain, GVAA, I think they're just a really good entry-level place. And just to be clear, not only entry-level, they've got stuff for people of all, the beginner, the intermediate voice actor, and the seasoned professional. They cover the spectrum. But for someone who is getting started, I think they offer a lot of good entry-level content and a really great way to get exposed to all the different areas of the industry for a relatively low dollar investment. All right. What else is going on? Do you normally send your audio out raw, or do you have an SOP for normalization, EQ, compression, etc.? So I did have Uncle Roy build, we call it a stack. George Woodham talks about building stacks too. Very minimal processing that I'm doing on my audio. No compression or EQ or anything like that. Tiny little bit of cleanup, declick, normalize, and that's about it. And that is what I'm sending out. So I hired Uncle Roy, recorded a bunch of raw audio for him, and then he took that raw audio that I recorded in my studio, said, we're going to do this. And now I press K. What do I press? KD8, I think, on my keyboard. So he's got the whole thing dialed in for me. So I don't have to think about it or do anything. So, but by and large, yeah, I am pretty much sending out raw audio. Very, very little, very little processing. Yeah, VO Peeps, VO Boss, it's all Ann Ganguza. So maybe she's combined those two. But yes, that's Ann Ganguza, and totally legit. Ann's got a great podcast too, by the way. The VO Boss podcast is a great podcast. One of the top podcasts, one of the top industry podcasts, I would say. Obviously, Everyday VOpreneur. I've heard that's a pretty great podcast too, but who is Uncle Roy? Uncle Roy is Roy Yokelson. Let me pull up his website. He is a highly respected coach, producer, and VO Tech Support Services. That's what we refer to Uncle Roy as, VO Tech Support Services. The website here, antlandproductions.com. I'll put that in the chat. Uncle Roy's produced 2 demos for me. Both of them got nominated for Voice Arts Awards. And he was also the guy that when I was building my new studio, the booth is right there. That's the door there. I called him. He was the very first call I made and said, I'm going to build a studio. What do I need to know? And he walked me through it. And then once it was done, he got it dialed in for me. So he is my tech guru. But yes, Roy Yokelson. Everybody calls him Uncle Roy. That's his brand. But Roy Yokelson, brilliant coach, brilliant producer, brilliant tech guy. His 2-hour Adobe Audition life-changing session is legitimately life-changing if you're using Adobe Audition, and it's absolutely worth every dime. He does offer some free studio assessments and things like that as well. So that information is on his website there at antlandproductions.com. All right, guys, what time is it? It is 1:47 p.m. Eastern time. I've got a few more minutes. I stick around until about 2 o'clock. If you have any other questions that you would like to ask and get answered, this is your opportunity. Yeah, sort of a speak now or forever hold your peace kind of deal. Maybe not quite that extreme, but as I mentioned, I will not be here for Free Advice Friday next week. Let me look at my calendar for the week after. June 20th, I think I will be good to go. But there will be no Free Advice Friday next week. If you do have a question that you would like to ask and get answered, again, just type it into the comments, put a Q beside it. I'm certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can. Don't be shy. I love answering questions for you guys. I love hearing what you're thinking about, helping in any way that I can. What are you guys doing this weekend? Anybody got any big, exciting plans for the weekend? Dad's flying in from Nova Scotia. He'll get in a little bit later this afternoon. He'll be here for a week. There will be a lot of barbecue happening this week. Dad loves barbecue. All right. Oh, this is a good question. What's the worst thing a VO can do that works against their marketing efforts? The worst thing. I don't know if I can come up with one worst thing, but let me give you a couple worst things. I think that voice actors have to be extremely cautious of how they present themselves on social media today. And I know people don't like to hear that because free speech and whatnot, but free speech does not mean speech without consequence. I think if you are someone who is highly controversial or very angry on social media, I think that can work against you. I think that brands, particularly at the upper levels, are checking social media because no brand wants to end up with an association that is going to bring them under fire. And nobody wants to be that brand that hires the voice actor and then it comes out that voice actor, says this, does that, whatever. So I'm always trying to be very cautious of how I present myself on social media. I do think that matters. And I've seen voice actors who have burned some serious bridges in the past as a result of some of their social media activity. I think that's one thing. I think putting yourself out there before you're ready because you're too excited or too eager or too ambitious, I think that can be a problem if you are not doing it in the right way. So the internet has democratized voiceover in a way that didn't exist even, 10 or 15 years ago. Literally anybody can plant their flag as a voice actor now. And that has upsides and downsides. One of the things that you have to keep in mind is because of the fact that we've fully democratized the industry now, anybody can get access to jobs through online casting platforms, direct marketing, etc. You are now directly competing with the best of the best of the best of the best. So if you took your website and you put your website up against, pick 5 or 10 of the best voice actors that you know, the most reputable, most successful voice actors that you know, does your website stand up against their website? If you took your demos and put your demos up against those same top talent, do your demos stand up against those same top talent? It's really easy to do things as inexpensively as possible. Economics are real, right? There's only so much money to be spent. But you also have to remember that it's true in a lot of cases that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And so if you have a really amateur looking website, or if you have really bad demos, and then you're marketing to a whole bunch of people because you're trying to find some work, and your whole thought process is, I need to make money so I can get a better website and I can get better demos. Maybe you need to make more money doing something else before you do that. Because if you market to these people with a really bad website or really bad demos, that's how they're going to remember you. And so it's hard to come back from that. It can be hard to come back from that. And so that's something that I see, particularly on the website. We go cheap on the website because, again, building a website has been fully democratized. There are so many different ways that we can build a website so cheaply now. And so we're like, okay, well, I'll just go and build a website. But if it doesn't look good and it doesn't stand up against all the other websites that are out there, because you got to remember, if all of us are doing direct marketing and we're all driving traffic to our website, your website is getting compared to some of those other people. Your demos are getting compared to some of those other people. Your social media is getting compared to some of those other people. Your skills and your ability as an actor are getting compared to some of those other people. And so I think those are a couple of the things. I think how you present yourself on social media, I think that can backfire against you. I think putting yourself out there before you're ready, trying to do things too cheaply, and so then you just don't look professional. It doesn't come across as professional. I'm going to totally regret saying this next one because it's going to get completely taken out of context, but I'm going to say it anyway. There is not a VO Illuminati. To my knowledge, I am not a part of it, at least. And I say that as an honest Canadian. If I was a part of it, I would have to tell you. The Canadian in me would make me have to tell you. There is not, to my knowledge, a VO Illuminati. However, we live in a very tight community. We exist and work in a very tight community. And if you are someone who gets a reputation as being difficult to work with, or being a toxic personality, or being unprofessional, or just not being good enough, or not being ready, is it possible that agents talk to agents and producers talk to producers and talent talk to talent, and that could potentially come back to bite you in the butt one day? It is possible. And that is not because of an Illuminati. It is just because, if you hired a plumber to fix your toilet and when the plumber walked away, your bathroom was flooded, you would probably tell people this plumber's no good. And that's not because you are part of the plumbing Illuminati that's trying to keep that plumber from getting work. It's just because you had a bad experience and you told some people about it. And that same sort of thing can happen in this industry as well. And so that's something else that I would take into consideration. So there you go. There's a few, hopefully. Hey, Marc, did you put out some content recently using pay-to-play sites? I saw something from you, but now I can't find it. Did I put out some content recently on using pay-to-play sites? I have done podcasts on pay-to-play, and there's a couple of them on my YouTube channel, so it might be that you saw that. I think that actually the intro video on my YouTube channel right now is a pay-to-play video. And I've done a couple of pay-to-play interviews with Brad Highland in the past, and so it might be one of those that you are seeing or that you are thinking of. Is it okay to process more than declick and normalize when sending in auditions if your studio isn't the best? I would want to consult with a professional. So I know this is going to feel like a non-answer, but I am not an engineer. That's why I have guys like Uncle Roy to help me with some of that sort of stuff. We're selling our sound. That's a big part of what people are buying. Yeah, they're buying our voice or whatever, but we're also selling our sound. And if your sound is not right, then your product is broken. And so it is, in my opinion, it is absolutely worth the time and investment to have a professional, Roy, Jordan Reynolds, George Whittam. Like there's a bunch of guys that are out there, Dan Friedman. There's a bunch of people that can listen to your stuff and tell you honestly and help you get it dialed in. And if you are not completely confident in what you are sending out, it is worth it to get that. One of the best things that I did, I had Uncle Roy get my studio dialed in. And then back in the day, and I don't know if they offer this anymore, but back in the day, Wovo, World Voices, offered a studio approval program. And so you could, spend a small fee, very small fee, and send in some raw audio, and a collection of top engineers would listen to your sound and they would write you back and say, your studio is great. And they would give you a little sticker that you could put on your website that said you have a Wovo approved studio. Or they would say, your sound isn't quite right, dial it in, whatever. And then give you some feedback. At the time, I did not believe that there was one production studio on the face of the planet that had any idea about Wovo's studio approval process or cared even in the slightest about Wovo's studio process. But that's not why I did it. I did it for me and for my peace of mind. I knew that if a group of these top engineers signed off on my studio, I was fine. I had nothing to worry about at that point. I never had to think about my sound again. And so the peace of mind that came with that was worth every dime that I spent on it. My brain is fried and memory is failing. Your Friday sessions are available here, right? I should have been taking notes. Thank you for all you do. Yes, every Free Advice Friday is available on replay. I do have a Free Advice Friday playlist on my YouTube channel, so you can go back and look at them. But every Free Advice Friday, the video gets posted. And the other thing that I do after the live stream is done, I go back and I add chapter markers. So you can actually click straight through. You'll be able to see all the different questions that were asked and click straight through to specific questions and topics that we talked about as well. But yes, all of them are available for replay here on the channel. All right, guys, I gotta get going so I can get some stuff done before I gotta head to the airport. Again, make sure you check out the latest episode of the podcast, Voice Actors versus AI. Are we going to beat the robots? It's a really great episode. These summer series episodes are going to be fun, short episodes, but tons of value packed into them. So this first one here with Alexander Devrian is available on the YouTube channel, or look for the Everyday VOpreneur podcast wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. It's on all the different platforms, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, et cetera, et cetera. So you can subscribe. It's also on the website at VOpreneur.com. So if you head over to VOpreneur.com, and there you go, click podcast. And there's all the past episodes of the podcast. And if you click on the store button, you can see some of the different offerings that I have on the business and marketing side: coaching, private coaching, workshops, master classes, downloadable resources. I got all kinds of stuff there. All of that is at viopreneur.com. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate you coming and hanging out. Hopefully I was able to offer a little bit of helpful advice for you. Before you sign off, hit that like button if you haven't done it already, please. And also make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you will get notified anytime that I am going live here or whenever new video content is getting posted. And with that, it's time for me to go. So whatever you decide to do this weekend, as always, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.